bumping away, streaming for all to see. Cachorro, Cachorro. Cachorro superheroes, it's a day for you and me. Cachorro,
Welcome, Cachorros. It's time for another X-Men 97 review video. Oh, yeah, golly moly. If you haven't watched this episode, you need to just go watch it right now. I'm not joking. You need to watch this episode right now before you get any spoilers, which will come in this video, by the way. The episode's called Remember It. And, well, we've had some adult humor. We've had Dominatrix Madeline and, some say that the show's, meant for its grown-up adult audience, and this episode definitely shows you that this series is meant for the grown-up X-Men 97 kids that grew up from, or now growing up. Because this episode is really intense. We have some great drama between a couple of our characters. Some really good story building. Great cameos galore. I can't even cover them all, which we'll cover that in a little bit. Some really good battle and an event of extreme, massive magnitude is all I can really say here. It's a massive, game-changing event that I think just made put this show up there on an epic level of animated series. They're not messing around. They're bringing it. They're throwing it. I think they're going all in on this. This episode's a 10. This is a 10 out of 10 episode. This episode is... I mean, there's only one real letdown in the episode, which I'll cover once I start the spoilers part. But other than that, yeah, this episode, I mean, this is a massively amazing episode. So we're going to start our recap now. So if you haven't watched it, get the hell out of here and go watch it. All right, so it's called Remember It. Our opening montage, our opening theme. This time we add in a scene of Cable versus Apocalypse from an earlier episode, and a scene of Nightcrawler and Gambit fighting together.
Okay, I found this on the web for Nightcrawler.
She does that sometimes. She's weird. I'll leave it in there just because it's hilarious. So that's our two new scenes that were added to the opening sequence. We open with reporter Trish Tilby doing like a big old feature on mutants and X-Men, and she's at the X-Mansion, and she's, I guess, doing interviews. So she interviews the Beast. They kind of flirt with each other and make Beast blush. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that is one of Beast. She was one of Beast's romances from the comics. So they bring up Genosha, so we see the Blackbird, and it's got Gambit, Rogue, and Magneto in it. Got a little bit of tension in there about Gambit complaining about some stuff and like that. So they're kind of a little bickering a little bit there, and then all of a sudden we see Genosha, and they're remarking how amazing it is, and we kind of find out Gambit kind of insisted he come along once Rogue agreed to go. They landed by, at first I thought, oh wow, Jean's there. No, it's Madeline Pryor. Madeline Pryor, who's wanted to make a living for herself, has taken a spot in the mutant consul in Genosha. Okay. I guess she needed to find something to do with her character, so you had just stuck her in Genosha. Some more comments there. As we're flying in the Genosha, they do some splash scenes. We got our first round of cameos, and like I said, there's gonna be lots of characters I don't really know. I didn't know them for sure, so I'll just mention the ones I do know. So the opening sequence, we were first introduced to Genosha. It's following pretty much the same group of kids around. We have Leech, we have Pixie, we have the mutant that's kind of, you can see through their skin and see their inside. I don't remember their name. I'm sorry. It's one of the newer X-Men when they brought in like a new class and stuff back in like, I think the early 2000s and stuff, which was right around the same time that we got another event, which I'm going to kind of allude to later as a possible where this story could be going. There's also another kid that could kind of transform himself into animals and stuff. At least he did it in the scene we saw him. Don't know who he was either. At one point they're messing around to see a chick. Well, this is a little later actually. So then we also get Nightcrawler shows up. The council. The UN chick. I forgot her name. What the hell was her name? I can't remember the chick in the UN's name. Dr. Cooper. Cooper. She's there as well. They're going to go talk. So they want to talk to Magneto in their console. So Nightcrawler's like, "Hey, I'll show Gambit and Rogue around." So he's just going in and they're reminiscing and catching up and talking about how great the island is, which does have a little bit of a money problem, like $10 an apple. I thought inflation was bad here. I don't know, it was supposed to be just $10 for one apple? While they're talking, we also see the same group of friends with Pixie and him, and we see there's a chick with antlers. I'm pretty sure I've seen her before, too. I can't remember who she was. A little aqua person, too. All of a sudden, there's just this dance thing breaks out, and we see Multiple Man, Exodus, some chick that can like teleport through things like Kitty Pryde. I've seen. I think I'm gonna go with Monet. I could be wrong on that one. She was also one of the newer mutant characters. And Dazzler. All to put on this performance. Rogue's up there hanging out, and Boom Boom comes up and hangs out next to Rogue. And then Nightcrawler and Gambit are in the bag, and Nightcrawler's trying to push Gambit, tell him he needs to propose to Rogue, and he should just propose to her and marry her, and all this stuff, And Gambit's like, it's not my thing. I can't. I don't deserve that. I'm a scoundrel and stuff like that. So Dean, we go to. Well, there's a Magneto and Professor X statue, and at one point we see a Magneto is right sign, which is a popular. Was a famous phrase from the comic books. There's another phrase that goes along with that, which we will. Could that be a hint at that as well? Go back to the Ants mansion, and they're interviewing Cyclops. And it first kind of starts off with like kind of a joke. He's like standing next to a fireplace talking, and there's a glint off his glasses, and one of the people, cameramen, like. Complain about it when he take off his glasses. No, I can't do that. So I thought they were going to kind of do my boy Scott dirty here and just kind of play him off as a joke on the interview part. Like, so a couple times he keeps trying to talk about being the leader of the X-Men, and that happens, and he tries it again when they're sitting down, and Trish sidelines it to what they talk about him and Marvel Girl. Tell him about the power couple of him and Jean Grey. So he starts talking about something about an incident from their past. Meanwhile, we cut to Jean Grey using her powers to hide inside of a lake while she's like using water bubbles to go through her memories, and Wolverine shows up, and They have a nice little chat there. And trying to remember, she's dealing with her memory issues and stuff with the clone and which memories are hers. And it gets to the point where they're cutting back and forth between both of them talking about the same one of the same incidents. Is when she had the Phoenix Force, she was able to use her powers to control Scott's powers from going off, so they could look each other in the eyes, and she could see Scott's real eyes. And she's talking about how the Phoenix was calling her. She could already hear the voices calling her to go out into the universe, and it was beckoning her. And Scott's eyes that kept her grounded, and they kept her there. They kept her there. And Scott's trying to say, and sort of, how he didn't believe he. So I can't remember what he actually. I can't remember his thing actually. What he was saying, what his story side of the story was. So, kind of saying how that moment kind of pulled him into the moment too. And then we get to where Jean kisses Wolverine. Effing bitch. And she kind of freaks out for a minute. Wolverine's like, Jean Grey, Scott Summers. Those are the rules. This was just a slip up. So Wolverine kind of rejects it. Interesting enough. Dude, you get plenty of women, Wolverine. Why can't you just back off? Stop messing with my boy's girl. And then Scott is, then we go back to the interview. Scott's being asked about his son, which he first tries to proclaim he doesn't have a son. Because obviously they don't want to reveal the information. And she kind of prods him a little more, and he kind of slips up and lets it go. And she says, "Why are you trying to? We're trying to show that you mutants are humans and all this stuff. So why we're here to help you? Why are you lying to us?" And Scott flips out. He goes, "Why? Because you're normal. We've saved your life from evil mutants, robots, aliens. You ungrateful people. And I had to give my son up to take care because of you people. So no, we're not normal. Thank God for that. You ought to be dead if we weren't." So kind of like a little bit of a he kind of goes a little flip out there a little bit. We go back to the inner chamber of, I guess, the council that runs Genosha. It's Sebastian Shaw, Banshee, Maury McTabbert, Callisto, and Emma Frost. So we got some more cameos. And they pretty much decided they need a chancellor, something like a president kind of thing. So they call him a chancellor. And they need someone, a perfect spot for the person. And they want Magneto. He doesn't believe he's the right choice, and he doesn't want to be barred with it. He has this great speech about a past incident was with him and Xavier. I don't know what the point of this was. Maybe they were just trying to show off that they're getting their animation style. But there's a couple times during the speech they show this cutback where him standing behind him at a window, and you're looking at a drink on the table, and there's a condensation thing that runs down the side. He talks a little bit, and they cut back to it, and then you see the ice is melting and breaking in half. Not exactly sure the point of what that was. Just, I guess, something they just said, hey, we want to show off some cool animation stuff. We're showing that we have interesting animation types now we're doing, I guess. Other than that, it's like pretty much a weird shot. Say, cool, look good. He agrees to the role as long as at one stipulation. And we cut to him talking to Rogue, and the stipulation is he wants Rogue to rule with him. She was referring to being his queen. And she's accusing him of this was his plan all along to get this power, to get back with her. And he's like, so another little speech between him. So we get this tender moment between them, showing that yes, he does still care feelings for her. And she mentions that he also brings up the fact that him and Gambit are both broken men that have feelings for her, and that she's just always keeps him at beck and bay, and that she needs to make a step, and she's the right person to lead for the women, for the mutants. And Chancellor. So we go back to have a moment with Cyclops and Jean talking, and he can't believe he freaked out, and she tries to comfort him. And he says it's her love that's always keeps him together, and to help him out because he's grieving, is obviously Nathan. She asked him to try to describe Nathan to her, and they're going through this. He's going through this whole stuff, remembering his son. They go to kiss, and Jean's able to pick up that he has a psychic rapport with Madeline. So he's cheating on her psychically, which was their thing. Rapport with Madeline, which is technically the same person. So interesting, because in the comics, he did this with Emma Frost. And that's how him and Emma Frost started, kind of, in the type of thing. Because, hey, think what you would about Scott, but he gets the hot chicks, baby. Emma Frost, Jean Grey. Jean Grey's clone. So she's like fripping out because he's got that rapport with her, and he's like, hey, she is the mother of my child. And he's like, he's confused. The only thing that he knows is that she is the mother of the child, and he says I'm in love with both of you. And she's like flipping out. First off, hold on. So she's flipping out. How you love him? I was the Phoenix and did all this, and Sinister cuts a piece of me and makes a clone, and you love that. And technically, it's you. In the cartoon, like in the comics, Madeline was a completely unique person who was adamant that she was not Jean Grey multiple times when he thought she was Jean Grey. Madeline would remind him, I am not Jean Grey. So the boys gotta give the boys some room here, okay? He had 2 identical girlfriends. I mean, identical all the way down to the memories. They both were the same, thought they were the same person, so I kind of get where he's coming from a little bit here. I mean, she was you. I mean, she is you, and I had a kid with her. I mean, so I kind of got a connection with her, but you're you. But you were the real you, and I have a connection with you because I've always. I mean, the boy's kind of in a weird spot here. Okay, I think she could be a little more sympathetic. But so she's throwing it out there that she has to pick one, love, So he actually comes back. He's like, well, wait about you. Do you love me, or do you just love the memory of me? So they're kind of having a little spat. Then all of a sudden, she gets like a little psychic reporter, causes her to freak out, and she says, Maddie. From there, we're going to go back to Genosha. Gambit's getting ready for big night out, the big night out festivities. He's getting like a little suit on and stuff, and Rogue shows up in her typical Rogue outfit and says she needs to have a talk. So pretty much, I guess she laid it on the line that she may need what made her offer. So we cut to the point where she confesses about her past relationship with Magneto. And it happened way before we thought. Thought maybe something happened in between, the show being off the air. But it was before Rogue even joined the X-Men, when she was still with Mystique, learning how to be evil mutant. And Mystique took her to meet Magneto in what appears to be the Savage Land. So we get some famous things because that's. In the comics, they had a relationship, and the Rogue and Magneto were stuck in the Savage Land and had a relationship together. So that's the only, in canon, one they had. The other one was in the Age of Apocalypse. So talking about how she got to know Magneto, and they got super close, and he had all this culture stuff he wanted from mutants, and they found that they could touch each other, kind of hinted that they hooked up. But she could tell that he was also battling inner demons, and that's why she couldn't stay with him. And she joined the X-Men, and he didn't want to take another family from her, so they both kind of did this pretend it never happened thing. So I guess that's why all the original stuff between her and Magneto happened. There was since they pretended it didn't happen because in the previous episodes of the show, they never had any kind of back and forth with each other on it. Thought they'd kind of make it more recent, which Which also means if Magneto did this or had this relationship with Rogue when she was with Mystique, this would have to be a pretty young Rogue. So maybe she was over. I mean, so what age is she? I mean, she found out she was a mutant, put the kid in a coma, got a leg itch, took off, and then somehow she found up with Mystique. Mystique, like a real mother or something. I don't know. Adopted mother. Can't remember how the actual comic book story on those two go. So she had to be pretty young with a Magneto. I mean, we'll go. She was at least 18, but it had to be in the 18, the early 20s area, I would assume. Magneto still be up there in that 40, 50 age. Hey, I would be like, if I land me a 21-year-old, I guess I couldn't complain either. As an old at my age. So yeah, kind of all iffy there. And she talks about how it's good. This would be big for mutants by her joining him, and Gambit's like just sitting there, just listening, throwing cards into the fire, like. Psh, psh. He's like, you said you didn't want to be too close. I respected you. I played your swamp rat. She's like, I played your share. So it's pretty much like, hey, I respected everything you want me to do. You did. You wanted to keep, you just didn't want to let it get too serious. I respected that. Said all this time, yo, then you breaking this on me. And she brings up, well, Remy, I can't feel you. You light up the world, but I can't feel. So he's like, you know what? He's gonna break your heart. You know that. But fine, we're just friends. That's all, friends. And walks out. Yeah, because you do get some, I think there was some parts where we saw some tears from Amy. So, yeah, pretty much dumps Gambit. So that happened. So we go to the party, and it's this big fireworks and music and this big spectacle. And Dr. Cooper's upset about Magneto being made the Chancellor, and she mentions that, hey, I'm doing it with Rogue. See Gambit sitting at a bar. Madeline joins him. We get a lot more cameos. Some of the same people we've seen before. Some people also didn't recognize. We do see Archangel. So he's there. First I wasn't sure it was him, but then there was another scene where I'm pretty sure it was him. Rogue shows up all like in a fancy gown. Her Magneto floats up to the sky, meets her, and they do this dance together. Very intimate dance. And they end up kissing. Of course, as soon as they touch hands, Gambit gets up and leaves. Towards the end of the dance, we also see Madeline get the same thing that happened to Jean happens, and we hear a voice saying he's coming, and she starts nose bleeding, and she starts walking off. At the end of their dance, they kiss, and it kind of sounds like Rogue saying that kind of like she don't want to be with Magneto either. That she realized that Gambit was right about it. It's only skin. There's more than just skin. It's deeper than skin, I believe is what he said. All of a sudden we see Cable cutting through the crowd saying, turn off the music, clear, get out of here, get out of here. And he sees Madeline, and he runs up there and talks to Madeline. He's like, you got to stop the music. He's coming. She goes, who's coming? And she starts looking at him, and she goes, those eyes. You made it. So she realizes he's Nathan. All of a sudden his little teleport thing says, I got a body slide you out of there. And he's like, you see him kind of just disappear and say, I'm sorry, Mom. And all of a sudden you start seeing some explosions in the distance as they cut, and then you see Madeline's whole face light up green, and then we cut to a shot where just everything starts blowing up. There's a huge explosion, and everything's going nuts. And then we see a giant master mold. I don't know if this thing is actually from the comics or not. It's like a master mold, big bulky thing with 3 different heads. I'd have to actually look it up to see if this thing... Master Mold was created by Oliver Trask. Yeah, I don't see anything specifically mention him having 3 heads. So this maybe, I don't know if this is something they created just for the show. There's like no images. I mean, I imagine it had to be something that's definitely Master Mold. It's a giant sentinel thing. It looks like Master Mold. It's got 3 heads. So it's going around blowing everything to smithereens. We see Banshee with, what's her name? Marrow, I think her name is. Flying, see him get to the garden. All of a sudden, he gets blasted by Master Mold. I'm assuming he's dead. As I say, I could just assume he died there. Nightcrawler zooms in to teleport Rogue and Magneto out of there. As they're all getting blasted, and Nightcrawler is seriously injured. So they make a plan because the Morlocks are trapped. So we see Shaw and Maddie laying in like a cot with their eyes closed. Maybe they're just knocked out. We see Callisto laying with her eyes wide open. She dead. Callisto's dead. So, so they make a plan. Magneto's going to distract it while Rogue and Gambit try and save the Morlocks, and the goal is to save who they can, what they can, and not think about could they save more. So Magneto starts kind of doing this fight with Master Mold as he's taking out some people still. Seeing Master Mold just wiping people out. At one point, he shoots Magneto back into the Charles Xavier statue he's got a bubble on him. Into the statue, and it knocks the statue over until it falls onto a bunch of people, killing them. Magneto kind of has some flashbacks between all this destruction and the Holocaust, so he uses magnetism to take the train and starts whipping it like a whip and smacking Master Mold with it. While he's doing this battle, we see Gambit and Rogue rushing towards where the Morlocks are. They're taking out Sentinels. It's some epic battles. Gambit's like jumping around on the motorcycle, taking heads off, and Rogue's pounding them and stuff. So they're like working together as a team to where Gambit finds the Morlocks to get them out of there. Where are we at? Magneto Morlocks. So we get to the Master Mold things that's detecting an Omega level mutant, and it starts targeting Magneto. Gambit, Magneto with the Morlocks in one spot. Gambit and Rogue are over here after something exploded. So it starts shooting its super beam at Magneto, and he's using the shield to protect himself. And Rogue wants to run over there and help, and Gambit trying to go over there to help him, and Magneto throws him up backwards against the pole to keep him away. And Gambit's like, he's trying to protect us, Cher. Next thing he puts all this metal around him to protect him. And he's holding, and he just looked down at Leech there, and he goes, "Do not be afraid." And boom! Omega level mutant. Note detected. So the Morlocks, Leech, and a couple of the other ones, and Magneto are now presumed dead. Rogue flips out. She starts flying at him, and it starts powering up to shoot Rogue. Gambit charges up his motorcycle and hits Rogue with it to knock her out of the way to save her. And then the heads flip back around to where the garden, where all the injured and all the other mutants are standing. It's getting ready to shoot them. And then Gambit's like, "Hey, we got to dance." So Gambit starts coming after him and starts trying to shoot at Gambit. He's like doing his little moves, doing some flips, and he's flipping up at it. And all of a sudden, boom, Gambit gets stabbed by a tentacle thing. And he just goes limp. And it's like annihilated or whatever. Something saying they're picking up he's dead. And you see Gambit smile. And you see the thing that's sticking him start charging up. And it goes all the way through to the whole Master Mold starts charging up with Gambit's mutant power. He goes, "The name's Gambit. Remember it." And he touches it and causes it to explode and destroys Master Mold. Epic scene for Gambit. Epic scene for Gambit. So then we cut to a news broadcast at the X Mansion. Everyone's flipping out, and Cyclops is just like, "How many? How many?" And So they start showing scenes there. We see Nightcrawler and a couple other mutants. And we end with, in like a little pit thing, is Rogue holding Gambit, crying, and she's like, Grimmy. And it cuts to black, and you just hear her say, I can't feel you. And dude, I was like, whew. Very, that was like, wow, the strongest ending I think that show's ever had. Maybe just that part right there, you can get you a little bit of going again. Like I said, so yeah, that was fucking epic. So my only drawback on the episode was Cable. He's just hanging out in Genosha, runs up to Madeline. She recognizes who he is. He teleports out saying, sorry, Mom. Maybe she's... So there's a hint that maybe she's not dead. Kind of thought we were going to get a bigger reintroduction to Cable with the whole Nathan going into the future thing. Thought they were going to make a big deal of Cable when he came back. So when Cable came back in, I thought it would be some bigger deal than he's just hanging out in Genosha and everybody knows he's Cable. Like Madeline knew he was Cable. Cable, what are you doing? She looks at his eyes like, wait a minute, you're Nathan. Did kind of expect a bigger return of Cable. The Cable return. I thought it was going to be a little more gravitas. Maybe they were doing it because Madeline's supposed to die there. Like I said, I don't know if she's dead or not because it wasn't clear. Based on a couple of the flip outs with Cyclops, where he kind of lost it, like, I ain't normal. It's because you're normal, and he's doing his argument there. To the anger he had at the end of the episode when telling the mutants, with the sign that says Magneto is right. The other sign that goes along with that is a lot of people will use the term is Cyclops is right. When Cyclops took Magneto's old approach and believed that mutants were more than humans. Could we be getting an evil Cyclops in this show? Could Cyclops just go bad? And I mean, I guess he wasn't. He took up Magneto's side of things, and he went to this point where he put mutants first over humans. Could we be going to that? Maybe, I don't know. Like, we have the Cyclops gene kind of riff thing that could be going on as well. So I kind of thought we were going to get something massive like this. I didn't know they would go this far. Like I said, they straight murdered people. I don't know who the freak is alive and not right now. That was in Genosha. Because I know this is the midpoint of the season. Our next episode should be mostly about Storm getting her powers back. The Life Death Part 2. That's episode 6. Episode 7 is called Bright Eyes, which is a couple different things. Like, remember me is something Gambit would say a lot of times for this episode. You always say, the name's Gambit, remember it. Bright Eyes is a term that Rogue would throw around a bit. Cyclops always also has the bright eyes. So, could we go there? And then the final 3 episodes are Tolerance is Extinction. So the theory on that, everyone's like, is it the extinction agenda? Is it E for extinction? Or could it be Operation Zero Tolerance or something like that? Which there is hints for that third one, which would be a Sentinel based one. Because one of the pictures in the Forge episode, there's a person that was kind of covered up a little bit. But from what you could see of him, everybody said that was Bastion. It was the Zero Tolerance Sentinel leader. So I'm also going to say I think we got duped on Sinister being the bad guy supposed to be the main bad guy for the season. I don't see how Sinister's supposed to come back into this. They definitely don't feel like they're going down a roll with Mr. Sinister. Well, if you do some massive changes by that, because this was definitely where Master Mold come from for this episode is going to be the big thing to figure out. So that's Sinister released Master Mold. Don't make a lot of sense, but definitely some story arcs. Like Evil Cyclops. Does Cable come back into things a little bit more? So yeah. Definitely at least some questions. Are we going to bring up? Are we going to bring in Krakoa? The newer comics, I have not read most of those. I would like to. I'm very slowly going through the 80s right now. What did I think I kind of read the Life Death stuff. I think I'm towards the end of the Life Death stuff in the comics. I'm like in the mid 80s, late 80s. My Marvel Unlimited plan, which I haven't read much of it in a long time, so I kind of need to get back into reading it again. But I know in the modern comics, the Living Island Krakoa came back. All mutants live on it, and it has the ability to I guess for a rough estimate, bring back the dead. It can bring back mutants, and in the comics they used it recently to bring back Ms. Marvel as a full-fledged mutant instead of an Inhuman. Kind of giving her the origin that they originally planned on. So could that come in? Could we bring back some of our dead characters there? Because, like I said, we've lost some characters here. They've killed off a lot of mutants here. Like I said, we know, I'm pretty sure Banshee. Mara's probably not that big of a deal, but Magneto, Gambit, Callisto, and who else? Who knows who else possibly died in this scene? So could that come into play? Could we bring back the reincarnation thing? I can't remember what they call it in the comics. This is, like I said, I haven't read that part yet. So where are we going to go for the show is the question. I have no clue. I mean, we've had I thought the show was doing great with the second episode of the Inferno episode, and then this episode just came and just blew everything else out of the water. This was just a straight epic episode. This show's a bang. This like I said, this might be a top animated show right now, man. I think I combine other animated things I'm watching on Netflix and stuff like that, but man, this show is just what the fuck did I just watch? This episode just brought it. I'll give them that. They went full out on this one, and as I said, we had so much great stuff here. We had some really good drama between the characters, the Cyclops and Jean drama, the Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit drama. Epic battle. So yeah, awesome episode. Great job, guy. Great job on it. Until next time, Cachorro out.